Eccoci, buonasera, buonasera a tutti di nuovo. Riapriamo anche stasera il Pau Stage. Avremo 2 workshop molto, molto interessanti. Per il primo, talk chiedo a Donatella Lorato, scusami, di raggiungermi su. Ciao Donatella, buongio
Ciao, buon pomeriggio.
buon pomeriggio. Allora, Donatella è qui, diciamo, per rappresentare ESE. ESE è la European School of Economics e abbiamo una partnership con ESE e io ne approfitto anche per ringraziare Donatella per il supporto, per aver creato questo talk meraviglioso, molto interessante, anche per il supporto nei giorni passati, per le azioni di comunicazione, eccetera. Quindi ci tenevo a ringraziarti, Donatella, grazie mille.
Grazie a voi.
Ok, allora io, Donatella, se sei d'accordo, ti lascerei la parola, così
Sì,
introduciamo gli altri.
va bene.
A
So good
dopo.
afternoon, everybody. My name is Donatella Lorato, and I'm the campus leader of the European School of Economics, Milan campus. I am very happy today to moderate a very interesting panel discussion with some of my faculty members, Silvia Petticchio, Giorgia Ferrari, Giulia Rinaldo, and Danila Acquati. We will talk about the concept of authenticity, balancing tradition and innovation. 2020 has been a starting point of a new era for luxury. The world has been called into action to wonder and certain concepts like tradition, heritage, and symbolic meanings. So, the world of luxury has somehow gone back to its origins and to a new concept of slow luxury. So, in order to start with our discussion, I would like to welcome our first faculty member, Silvia Pettinchio. Silvia, welcome. Thank you, and thank you for joining us. So, to better understand this concept, here is Sylvia. Sylvia is actually a marketing strategist and professor. She's specialized in startup and green marketing, social media strategies, and international communication. She supports ethical businesses, and since 2018, she is a proud and active member of the European Green Party. So, Sylvia, going back to the concept of slow luxury. Slow luxury is a tendency that shows the need to return to the original. So, what gives us meaning? Can you explain the trend which is reshaping many industries, from food to tourism?
Of course, first of all, I'd like to thank you for having me here. Again, slow luxury and sustainability in general is one of my love issues since many, many years. So, slow is a wonderful world. It has been associated over the past 50 years to negative concepts, if you think so. Old, unmodern, uncontemporary. So everything that was old was against progress. But since I would say 10, 15 years ago, slow has become actually very, very valuable and it represents a lot of values across many industries, as you correctly said. From slow food to slow fashion. It's a movement that actually goes against everything that is fast, and everything that is fast is considered of low quality somehow. So we can start from slow fashion. You know, last year Armani wrote an incredible letter. I'm sure that all of you are well aware of it against fast fashion. Slow is associated with time, and I think that time, together with quality and exclusivity, is one of the fundamental dimensions of luxury. Uh, Time not only in the sense of slowness, but also timeliness. Whatever lasts over many years, whatever lasts over many generations, is actually considered very valuable, very, very valuable. And we can't just stop talking about fashion. Also architecture. There's a great movement of ethical architecture which is associated with luxury. It is basically the rediscovery and restoration of unique properties across the country. There is this incredible trend that I really embrace of South working, the rediscovery of small villages, borghi, around the world. And I have to say that during the pandemic, this trend increased. So there is a coming back, as you greatly said, to the origin, to authenticity of good quality. So I think that this is going to be a trend which is not going to stop tomorrow. It's definitely not a fading fashion. It's going to last, fortunately.
So thank you, Sylvia, for sharing your interesting approach. Thank you. And I would like to welcome our second speaker, Giorgio Ferrari. He is the founder and CEO of Quoti, an innovation hub that deals with creating and managing innovation processes. He is a member of for growing startups, trainer, and lecturer in business design. So going back to technology, as we talked about tradition and technology. Let's now dive into the digital era. Today, new technologies and tools are at the center of the user experience, not only in terms of perception, but in terms of economic value. So it's the crypto universe from blockchain to NFT technology. So Giorgio, what do we exactly mean by authenticity and uniqueness in the digital era?
Thank you, Nutella, for this opportunity. Good afternoon to everybody. Yes, amazing question. Amazing question because for many years we are talking to digital. Digital could be a great opportunity, but could be a great standardization method in order to launch new businesses or stuff like that. But digital could be a great um, landscape of trust. Trust is a great sentence because trust means if I trust you, in digital way, I can't trust you without physical experience. So we are going back to physical. Physical means experience, user experience, not all digital. So for many years, we were talking about experience, user experience in digital, but how to replicate the experience in a digital way. What we need trust. We need trust in order to give authenticity to our digital customer, digital stakeholder, digital people inside web. So blockchain could be the solution of authenticity, but it's a long journey. It's a long journey because we are at the beginning of this journey of blockchain, and blockchain could means exclusivity, authenticity, because it's a certification of an information, and in digital way you said everything you want, everything is right and everything is wrong. So it's a trouble. It's a trouble, and we will face into a blockchain world instead of digital world.
So thank you, Giorgio, for talking about trust, which is a central issue in authenticity. Thank you. And you gave me the link to introduce my third speaker, Giulia Rinaldo. Welcome, Giulia.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So Giulia is a strategist and consulting manager at Accenture. She specializes in fashion and luxury industry. So she's managing actually many projects dealing with clients that need to transform their attitude towards the digital world. So let's talk about data now. Luxury brands are often drawing in data because they have yet to figure out how to be effective. So company needs to become data-driven enterprises in order to maximize the value of data. So the question could be, talking about this reinvention, are luxury brands ready for this new normal?
So thank you for the introduction, Donatella. Good afternoon, everyone. So when talking about data, I would like to use the metaphor of water because according to me, and as you all know, it represents a massive source of energy because if you think it covers basically the 71% of the surface on Earth, it represents the 60% of our body, so it's really fundamental. But nowadays, brands and sometimes like specifically luxury brands are often like drawn into data because they have yet to figure out how to catalyze the power and the utility of data. So first of all, I think that the brands need to become more agile. Agile in the sense that they have nowadays an imperative to adopt really faster, like go-to-market strategy, and this is given by like two factors. Like first of all, the first one is given if you think about the whole, let's say, experience and offering like that nowadays in the customer experience you see we have many different products, many different services that are offered by brands, and these of course like come with a longer list of SKU associated with data, with longer list of services. So if you think, for example, to on all the omnichannel services like click and collect, buy online, return in store, and all the other, let's say, services that we were used also to see before the pandemic, this, of course, has to deal with a big number of data and to monitor and to track. And this, of course, require like brands and a need to stay like more in pace with the new economy and the new, let's say, velocity of the industry. And secondly, a thing to consider is the customer expectation nowadays because they are still like enlarging, they are demanding for a more personalized experience. They are requiring a sort of services and also sort of experience that is really different by customer to customer. And so it's clear that in this context, data and analytics will be, let's say, the key enablers, the factors of acceleration for brands that need to consider like this sort of rules such as like algorithms or of machine learning or artificial intelligence to really open the door to the new markets and being like really competitive compared like to other brands.
While customer expectation is really a huge, huge topic, we will continue talking about this later on. Thank you, Julia. And now let's meet our last faculty member, Daniela Quasti. She is our cross-cultural advisor and change facilitator, executive trainer, and university professor. She assists teams and individuals to develop successful adjustment strategies for transition, change, and upskilling. So, Daniela, let's now focus to the world of fashion. Fashion, with all its attributes and symbolism, can be defined as a constantly changing trend. It's also considered an element of cultural identity and self definition. So, how does fashion express its identity in this new digital world?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Donatella. Thank you for this opportunity. Now, as you introduced me, I'm a cross-cultural advisor and I focus on change. I'm a change facilitator. So I am very curious about the evolution in the fashion world. Now, fashion has the ability to evolve and to introduce and present to all different countries and cultures and people, the evolution and changes, rapid changes. Now, this ability has a lot to do with the identity. But when we talk about identity and cultural identity, what do we mean? What we tend to do, and fashion world tends to try to enlarge and achieve larger audience, but the risk is to go into real dangerous path, which is the stereotype. And we know that identities are not fixed, they are complex. Identities are in constant evolution. And I'd like to share with you Edward Hall model of a cultural iceberg. This is Edward Hall, is an anthropologist, and in 1976 he shared a model of the iceberg cultural model. Now, and it's updated today. It says that only 10% of what we know about culture is seen, but when we think about the iceberg, we just see the tip, the very top and the tip of the iceberg, and then we have the 90% underneath. Now, underneath, what we see is just clothing, but what we don't see are values, the thought patterns. And how can we relate fashion with this model? We can relate it thinking that we have to look for authenticity, we have to go and look for values, and there are individual values. With globalization, we moved onto a sort of a massification, but the result of this globalization has been exactly the opposite. That people, cultures, traditions, values, and beliefs, people are trying to focus on their inner, on their traditional, and that is just something coming from your education, where you lived, if you've moved, when you come across with different cultures living inside that cultures. So now we have to try and to look from the opposite part, not from the outside, but from the inner side. Our authenticity, our value as a brand, which is my value, how can I share it? How can I make sure that my value is shared, and how can I engage a new audience? Thank you.
Thank you, Daniela. We will continue talking about values later.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, we will now, again with Sylvia, welcome, and Sylvia, talk about one of the key topics of this era, which is sustainability. So if we think about luxury and sustainability, usually we think about these two words as being totally different and far away one from the other. What's your opinion on this issue and
Okay,
contrast?
Donatella, thanks for this question, because I'm always often actually I always talk about this topic. So luxury is often associated with consumerism, with a model of production which are not sustainable. But if we look at it from another angle, we realize that sustainability and luxury are really based on the same values: quality, first of all, durability, exclusivity. The circular economy model and processes that aim at reusing a raw material, prolonging the planned obsolescence of products, go really parallel to the luxury models. We don't have to consider luxury only as the new collection, the new thing, but it's actually something that stays with you forever, from one generation to the other. Often we imagine the coats or jewelry or watches that are passed from one generation to the other, and actually the quality and value of luxury objects and things remain. And there is nothing more sustainable than that, honestly. And then we have to consider also that, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on what the point of view, luxury is not democratic. So it's not something which is associated with mass consumption. This morning, I was thinking about a poster that I had growing up in my bedroom, which was a Caribbean islands. There was a very nice beach, palm trees, and clear water. And while I was growing up, I was thinking, I will never go there, because it's so far away, it's so expensive. But a few years later, with mass tourism and low-cost flights, every point of the world was actually reachable. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? From a sustainable point of view, of course, we have reached a point that we can't really, we have to stop, as you know. So I can't really say that I wish we went back to what was before, but we really have to consider, each one of us and also companies, that we have reached a point of no return. So we have to rethink the whole production system on a more sustainable way. And I have to say that luxury brands are really far ahead on that road. So bravo.
I definitely agree with you. So thank you, Sylvia, Jan. And let's go back with Giorgio, talking about this new technology and blockchain back again. So how does blockchain build this new decentralized digital uniqueness in a way?
Yes. Blockchain means decentralized system, because if you want to certificate an information, if you want to change an information certificate by someone else, you have to convince the majority of the, the people inside the blockchain to give the different opinion. So it's impossible to hack. Okay, we don't have hacker at the moment in the blockchain. It's impossible. So it's a matter of certification, digital nuts. So blockchain it will be probably not is because it's too early, but will be the solution of exclusivity, uniqueness, and authenticity. So probably could be straight connected to luxury. So blockchain, very briefly, is a sum of block in chain. So blockchain, you can split the sentence, split the word in block and chain. So every block is closed. You can't change information included. So it's like a patent. It's like a certification. It's like a uniqueness. And after that, you can certificate information, really, okay. But it's a it's like you can launch every luxury situation according to the uniqueness. And after that, we can move from blockchain, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies that are the new gold of our world. And we can move from blockchain and crypto values to NFT, that it's the maximum of uniqueness.
Thank you. Very interesting and very new as a topic. Thank you. We will continue later. Thank you, George.
Thank you.
So, Julia, back again to
Back
data
again.
analytics. Yes. So we were talking about customer expectations, customer journeys. How can artificial intelligence help luxury brands to be more data-driven?
Yeah, thank you for this question. Of course, now we won't have time to explain in detail what artificial intelligence is, but I will try to make it as simple as possible. We can consider like artificial intelligence as a sort of rules that can be considered within the predictive analytics category. And basically, it's something that nowadays in all our everyday life we see. Like, for example, if you think to the, let's say, image recognition on the mobile phone, is something that we all deal like on a everyday basis. And this, of course, is powered by artificial intelligence. It's the same like a topic considering for brands, specifically luxury brands, that should leverage, for example, on this image recognition that is a sort of rules that allow also to analyze what the other competitors are offering in terms of products, in terms of services, and this will allow also to give a competitive advantage in terms of the other, let's say, proposition offering, like offered by the other brands. A really second advantage that the artificial intelligence can provide is of course related to the anticipation of core forecasts and trends. And this is a very good point because there are some rules or sophisticated like algorithms that can allow brands not just to cluster your database, but also to anticipate what the customer expectation will be. So what will be the trends, the future pattern of shopping behavior that the customer, like of your company, will be dealing with. And of course, applying all these sort of rules, the main advantages that come along are really clear. So first of all, like a better measurement of the ROI, of the performance, will allow also to a better increase of the marketing and sales effectiveness. But also like in terms of connection with customer, a longer relationship with the customer also can be built, because if you anticipate what the customer thinks and also what be the pattern of shopping behavior, the relationship with the customer will be enhanced. And if you think also at the integrated value chain of the supply chain is also something that can be leveraged and can allow the company to also build smarter operation. So as you see, there are many advantages, and I can continue for other maybe 10 minutes, but just to wrap up, basically artificial intelligence and predictive analytics in general will really can open like new the door to the new markets, but still maintaining the let's say the attachment with the authenticity of the brand, the traditional, we'll say.
So back again on the concept of
Yeah,
authenticity.
of course.
Thank you, Julia.
Thank you.
So let's now meet again, Daniela, and we will continue talking about fashion. You were talking about values before. Fashion is a matter of culture, and culture is a matter of values. So, are there some values today in this new world that are more relevant today?
This is a really interesting question. Thank you so much. It won't take long to give you an answer. What we can say is that we are living in really strange times, and nothing is similar to anything we have lived earlier. So, what is beautiful today and is different from what was felt as beautiful many years ago, time ago. But what remains the same value, is keeping closer to the search of your identity as individual and therefore as a society, and fashion brands and especially luxury brands, fashion luxury brands should focus on the search of these values, these inner values. And I think that nowadays we are living in unprecedented times, and we as fashion luxury brands or people trying to focus on those values, on cultural values, should um, find a path to authenticity. There are no values which are sort of more relevant today than they were earlier. But the search for values has to be the leading path. Thank you.
So, my last question for Sylvia. Sylvia, you are a marketer and a trend forecaster. So, is this green the new black or just a fading trend?
Okay, first of all, I really like this setting. So I really like that you really wanted us to sit here on the couch because it makes things more
Informal.
real. Yeah, informal and real. Thanks so much. Okay, let me go back 30 years ago. That's when scientists started to talk about climate change and then global warming. But it was something that really remained within laboratories and greenies. What happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago actually, in August 2018, a Swedish girl started to strike in front of the Swedish government. And that action that was really, really marketing oriented, because I have to say that, it was very well communicated, really changed the global perception on these issues. I always say this is a nice anecdote. In 2019, so after the global march for climate, the most bought gift for Christmas were water bottles globally. Millions and millions of water bottles were given as a gift for Christmas, both by individuals and companies. So, as a marketer, I asked the same question that you just asked me, and the answer is no. It's not a fading fashion. Hopefully and thankfully, because if we study mega trends, which are not something that only happens over a few years, mega trends are trends that cross industries, countries, and decades. We have seen that sustainability has been waiting, and moving and changing and operating for many, many decades. And it is one of the 9 mega trends that are shaping and changing the world. So companies and individuals and governments are definitely have to take that into account, and thankfully they are. The second thing that I'd like to say is that these big changes are carried out by 4 primary forces. The first one is technology, of course. We have seen also with my colleagues that artificial intelligence, robotics, and cryptocurrency are really, really shaping the future. Globalization is another one of these primary forces. Then there is demography. The world population is growing, and there are 2 forecasts, one more optimistic and another one more pessimistic, but within 50 years, we might reach 11 billion people in the world. And then, of course, there is the environment that shapes change, shapes our future, and differently from what scientists had forecasted 30 years ago, global warming is happening much faster. The polar caps are melting much faster than expected. Oceans are rising much faster than expected. So we definitely, have to, as I said before, adjust. And companies are know that. And so, considering that they have to ensure sustainable, shares for their shareholders, they know that they have to go in that direction. If it's not for ethic, they do it for business. So just do it for business.
So that match faster that it should or that it was expected is something that I definitely agree with, and something we will talk a lot in the future. Thank you for your green approach and taking us into this green world. Thank you, Silvia.
Thank you.
Giorgio, let's go back to something less green but still interesting. We talked a lot about blockchain. We somehow touched the element of the NFT. How does this element help and will build uniqueness and authenticity again?
Yes, NFT, sorry, means non-fungible token. So it's a sort of code that it can't be confused with another. So if I have a bottle of wine and if I have to certificate that the bottle of wine is unique, okay, I can build an NFT upon the bottle of wine. So it's a uniqueness for by definition. So if I want to sell the bottle of wine, the unique bottle of wine, I can sell the bottle of wine, and someone can buy the uniqueness through an NFT because it's not fungible, not fundable. So it's not fungible, so you can't confuse with another bottle of wine. And many fashion startups are working on building NFT in fashion innovation. So a good can't be confused by another. So it's a maximum of uniqueness. And okay, it's on the market nowadays. Not. It's just a matter of speculation at the moment. So many technologists are producing NFT in order to buy them to brands and stuff like that. So many big brands are looking at many interesting projects. NFT as an example of uniqueness by definition, certificated by blockchain.
Thank you, Giorgio. Very interesting. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
information. And Julia. So analytics and data again. So it is clear that it's a matter of data reinvention, and it is clear that luxury brands should follow this necessity. But how can they create this competitive advantage? What should they focus on?
So I will say that brands should adopt a sort of battle plan, we can call. But of course, in this case, there is no one size fits all operating model. Because of course, different from industry to industry, luxury brands should assess the data criticality according to the sector where they are operating. So for the first step, I would say is to steer data opportunities, like considering the industry where they are working. Because for example, if you think to the beauty and cosmetic industry, due to the digital nature of the service offered, the number of transactions will be much higher. And this, of course, will come with a longer also list of data and amount of information to monitor, to track. So based on this output, say maturity model, the second step will be that one to build the capabilities, so based on the current assessment conducted. So if you think to all, like for example, the data computation, the data engineering, the data science, is all that amount of skills that every brand should consider in order to prepare what we call the operating model for data. And in this case, I think it's also a sort of a challenge, like for luxury brands, because passing from a knowing culture to a learning culture sometimes is difficult. And this, of course, requires a sort of adaptation also in terms of data governance and managing like people like working in your companies. And sometimes it's challenging, especially for the luxury brands. And finally, the third step will be to prepare the data industrialization, so being able to scale this ability also in other contexts. I will mention also here another challenge, just to complete like the portrait of this better plan. That of course sometimes the difficulty nowadays is to deal with not what we just call the database like 6 or 10 years ago, where you have gender, sex, name. So it's very simple. It was very simple. Now you can see that we have many different platforms. So the traditional channel, the social media channel, influencer marketing, the forums, blogs. So you have a really flow of data that sometimes is really unstructured. And that's why the ability is really try to monitor and keep record of all this information in order to leverage on all the, let's say, advantages that we were mentioning before. But I'm totally convinced that, again, if brands will be able to leverage on these skills, on the analytics, artificial intelligence, this will be really a key differentiator for the luxury industry overall.
Thank you, Giulia, for
Thank
this
you.
information. Last, Daniela, welcome back. So we talked a lot about technology. Let's be a little bit more romantic now. So let's talk about our inner essence, or actually luxury brands' inner essence. So if we think about the modern audiences, us as customers, or the new customers, the new generations, how can we engage them? How can we capture them? Should luxury brands really focus on their real and inner essence?
Oh, yes, so that's exactly it. Luxury brands should focus on their inner essence, on their inner authenticity. They should go back to quality, meaning that focusing on quality, focusing on the inner, the original, the core, not just the core business, but their own authenticity. Sometimes luxury brands have lost the way, have lost the path. And it's just a question of, as I said earlier, go back and look inside. We've been dealing a lot. We have, as our colleagues, my colleagues just told us, we have plenty of data marketing elements. We are overwhelmed by all these elements. The risk being not to go and look inside our inner essence. The inner essence, understanding that is our authenticity, and that is really powerful. That's the only way to put ourselves and to put fashion luxury brands into connection with audiences, any age, any time. It's a timeless connection. It's a connection going over any kind of symbolism, of boundaries. It's just overcoming all these timeless, is really timeless. So let's focus and let's go back and work on ourselves, on the inner part of our reality. That is, to me, what the path is to authenticity. Thank you
very much, Daniela. So I think that we have actually finished. We have no questions at the moment. So I would like to thank my faculty members, all the staff at the European School of Economics Milan campus. I think that we have understood a way to authenticity, how important that is, and how it's a matter of culture and values. And I think it's a matter of living more consciously and somehow to be able to drive the change for a better world. So thank you, everyone, and thank you, Paolo.